Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mae.
I'm Max.
And I'm Ben, and we were had.
Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were. Today we are going to discuss the moon landing.
Oh,
is a big one.
Question mark.
In 1969, July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins claimed to have landed on the surface of the moon.
Who's this Michael Collins character? Right off the gate, you're bringing in some strange characters.
Michael Collins was the guy who stayed in the ship and didn't actually get to walk on the moon. He was in Apollo 11. He was there and just watched these guys walk on the moon.
Did he
Because
lose
he was a pussy or why? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pussy. He went to the moon.
Puss.
And then pussed out.
Fucking wham.
He's like, no, you guys go ahead. I've seen it.
But
go from here.
Why did he have to stay in? Why couldn't they just take turns?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to go to the moon for 2 fucking seconds and then turn right around. Like,
Also,
chill for a
end of
minute.
Titanic, why didn't they take turns?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Collins is the Kate Winslet.
No, he's the Leo.
He's the Leo.
Yeah, you're right. So
Yeah,
I
why
guess
didn't they take turns?
I don't know.
James Cameron really wanted Leo to die.
Also, a lot of Titanic conspiracy theories. We can do that another
Why?
time.
That it didn't happen?
I don't know what the theory is, actually.
Icebergs don't exist.
I just saw there was a link to Titanic conspiracy theories, and I'm like, I'm deep enough in this.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
need to-
That'll be season 2.
Yeah.
Was it
So-
Hillary Rodham Clinton
She went back in time and sunk the Titanic.
in her lizard suit?
She is an iceberg.
Oh.
She's a frosty bitch, I'll tell you that.
And
So
I
the-
voted for her. Okay,
I did.
anyway.
I did. Yeah, several times.
Okay,
For senator, not for president.
continue.
In 1969, that was the first moon landing. Between 1969 and 1972, there were 6 moon landings, all by America. In total, 24 astronauts went up to the moon.
I also didn't know this. Are we just taught poorly in school?
I mean,
I
I don't
thought-
even remember learning about this in school, honestly.
Yeah, first of all, that's the problem with American history education is you never make it past never make it past World War II.
That's
every
very
single
true. The
year
year
they're
just
like,
ends.
we'll get to Kennedy next year. Every single time. And isn't it more important to learn more about the more recent stuff because it's more relevant?
Yeah, you're spending 3 weeks on fucking Roanoke, not to
Right.
insult this
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
or Jamestown, and then you don't end up getting to the Cold War and all this stuff.
I spent 20
So
years
true.
pretending to know what the Vietnam War was.
I don't think anybody does.
I don't think anybody does. Let me
Yeah.
tell you something.
People that
I'll ask
went
a
are like,
Vietnamese person if they know what the Vietnam War was.
American people have no idea what that war was.
But I would have if just before this I would have said that we never went back to the moon, and that's part of why people think it didn't happen.
Well, we didn't go back actually since 1972. So we went to the moon a lot, and then we just stopped because I guess it was like we
And
came,
Michael
saw it
Collins
conquered.
never got to go back. And
Michael Collins never actually stepped foot on the moon. He was so close and then didn't actually get on the moon.
And he's so forgotten. Everybody knows Neil Armstrong. Everybody knows Buzz Aldrin. And we're like, by the way, Buzz, a little on the nose, don't you think?
fucking
Of that.
Legally changed his name to Buzz.
That's
What was
my-
his real name?
Edward, I believe.
Edward Aldrin? It's not great.
Ed Aldrin?
Ed Aldrin? Ed Aldrin.
Ed Aldrin. I will say that's the main
Edwin Aldrin.
Edwin Aldrin.
Sorry about that.
That's like a children's book character. But I will say part of the reason why I will allow conspiracy theories to exist is that this man changed his name to Buzz. That's ridiculous.
So
It's a quirky nickname at best.
I don't know. It kind of flows, Buzz Aldrin. I'm not saying Buzz is like a good name. All right, fine. But he did land on the moon.
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
Allegedly.
Here is the thing. This conspiracy theory is popular. 6 to 20%, which is a long range, but that's what it said on Wikipedia, of Americans, 25% of Britons, and 28% of Russians believe that the landings were fake.
Wow.
And it also makes sense why the Russians might be the most skeptical.
Because they're in their history class, it's probably like 1969 Americans faked landing on the moon.
That would literally
Yeah,
be
that's-
what it is. That's
yeah.
the main, yeah.
Yeah.
Lenin is God, and those are all you have to remember, is that Lenin
Yeah.
is God, and that in 1969 the Americans faked.
1971, Vladimir Putin beat the moon in a boxing match.
Yes, he was shirtless.
Yeah.
I read I read somewhere that it's estimated, because you can't know for sure, but it's estimated that 20% of Americans believe in QAnon. There's probably a lot of overlap there.
I would not be surprised if there's
Yeah.
a lot of overlap.
A lot of overlap.
That Venn diagram is a circle.
There's that many people that believe in that?
That's according to some like...
The QAnon website.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the highest they could even lie.
Yeah,
It was that 20%.
But I was terrified. I was like, whoa,
Oh,
that's
it's
a lot of people.
This one, here's what I'll say about this one as a conspiracy theory. It is relatively harmless, unlike many other conspiracy theories. But I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. The overlap between this and much more dangerous ones, there's a lot.
Yeah, this is kind of like a gateway conspiracy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second you
It
allow
just-
yourself to believe into this, you're like...
Well, what about this? Yeah.
And I was going to make a joke about the other ones, but the other ones are very bad to joke about.
Just Alex Jones audience. That's all the people. That's the percentage.
It's very easy to go from fake moon landing to gay frogs. That's a very easy jump.
So the main thing with this conspiracy theory, and I think that this is true for a lot of conspiracy theories, is it stems from there was a motive. And there was a motive.
Right.
Like, there is a reason why America really wanted to get to the moon and maybe lied about it because they wanted to get to the moon so badly. And the context is the space race between the Russians and the Americans during the Cold War. And the Cold War is between the Russians and the Americans, which is why I said 28% of Russians believing that it's a fake moon landing kind of makes sense.
Right.
They were in competition against the Americans.
Isn't that so funny that they spent billions of dollars and it was just a country-to-country dick measuring contest?
Literally, it was just a pissing contest.
That was it.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that some of it has to do with like using weapons and satellites and things like that, but like for the most part, it is like symbolically. Landing on the moon, we walked on the moon and planted a flag on the moon. Great.
Yeah,
You
who
literally
cares?
just took a dick pic on the moon. Also, by the way, it didn't do anything for anybody, right?
No, it didn't.
You didn't bring back resources. It didn't,
Nothing.
Like, you could have just fed the whole country for a
Yeah,
couple
people are
years.
starving. Children are dying in the streets in the 50s. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, meanwhile,
Maybe.
Michael Collins is just jerking it in the spaceship while the other two are dancing on the moon.
That is a fact that Michael Collins was ass naked. He got out of the spacesuit. He couldn't even breathe, but he was
Yeah.
ass naked.
That's his kink, though, asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation. This was the first autoerotic asphyxiation. Yes.
He wanted to zero G cum in his own face.
Oh, yeah. I guess it would be floating in the air, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if you peed in space, would it be... let's just use pee and not cum because it's less gross, sort of. But, like, wouldn't the pee be, like, floating in space?
Let's use cum. So I think... But I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Lighter.
Well, you look at me like, you both look at me like, yeah, well, where's the cum? Where does the cum go in space?
It's not like one... I feel like it would stick together and be floating. That's what I'm going with.
I just watched a space movie, the one on Netflix, the new one with Toni Collette and Anna Kendrick. Nobody comes in that one, so I can't tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, who's watching that? No one's coming in. Who cares?
It's more of a moral dilemma kind of film. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like, there's only enough resources to keep 2 or 3 of us alive, not all of us.
The hot ones, obviously.
Yes.
So the space race. Here's the thing about the space race. The Soviets kind of take the lead in the beginning. In 1957, there's Sputnik, which is the first artificial satellite. In 1961, the first orbital flight by Yuri Gagarin. So at the beginning, it looks like the Russians are kind of winning the space race. And that's why when Kennedy becomes president in 1961, he's like, we're going to go to the moon by the end of the decade. That's his big promise.
Can you do a Kennedy?
I think Mae will be better.
Full squall. No.
That's Lincoln.
No, I can't. We're gonna. I can't.
The
no.
big speech is like, I'm paraphrasing. It's like, we go to the moon because it is hard, or something like that. Not because it's easy, because it's hot.
Yeah, not cause
What
it-
is that accent?
I don't even know. It's not
That's
even a
not a-
Massachusetts
No,
accent. It's
it's
like
not.
it's like its own thing in that family.
It's like transatlantic Boston. It's just rich person
Rich
accent.
Massachusetts.
Rich New England, yeah?
I don't know. Rich people from Massachusetts don't talk like that.
No, they are when they're Kennedys.
I guess.
It is called the Kennedy accent.
Yeah.
That's how Well, I think that's what people refer to it as. There's no
Yeah.
other word for it.
That
I
is
mean, I'm
true.
sure there is, but that's what I'm going to call it.
Maybe they all had the same like governess that taught them, and she just spoke weird. Please continue.
Okay.
So Americans, starting with Kennedy, Americans kind of get back in the game. So Alan Shepard is the first American in space. That's 1961. 1962, John Glenn does the 3 orbits around the Earth. And 1969, moon landing.
Moon landing.
It's like we've officially, we kicked their ass.
Quick work.
Okay.
He was right. It happened right before the end of the decade, which suspicious.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
is a little
big-
suspicious.
Oh my God, we were so close to the deadline of 1970 and we did it. Maybe that, I don't
What month in 1969? Do you remember?
July.
Okay.
We like just celebrated, by the way, the 50-year anniversary of it a couple years ago, and like no one
cares.
I don't think anyone cared. It's like the most insane
There's
scientific
just
feat.
too much going on right now. The fact that there's every month they're like, aliens exist, remember? And people are like, meh.
But 2019, yeah, plenty was going on. It was pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID though, so
Yeah.
there wasn't that much going on.
But you know what? At the time, I remember people being like, boy, it's going to be good next year to have a quiet time. 2020. That's going to be our year. Huh?
Wow, what a disaster.
Jesus Christ.
We should send someone up in the moon now, just as like a
Right.
morale booster.
Yeah, right.
Where's Michael Collins? Send him up there.
So the main motive that the American government would have to stage a moon landing was the space race. You want to get ahead in the space race. And the second thing, which is related to it, is that NASA has spent so much money. I think it was about $30 billion on the Apollo project.
Oh my God.
That it would have been humiliating if they didn't get results.
Yeah.
What a waste of money.
30 billion in the 60s, too, is...
40 billion?
Yeah.
30 trillion.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
And of course, conspiracy theorists say that this 30 billion was not used in order to actually land on the moon. It was used to pay off people to say that we did.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the thing, and I don't mean to bury the lead here. If people are lying about this and have been lying about it for 50 plus years,
Right.
that would be an estimated 400,000 people.
Right.
Scientists, engineers, technologists, machinists, and electricians, and of course the astronauts themselves, would have had to keep this a secret. That is a conspiracy theory.
I mean, that would be crazy. Also, like a secret from their wives and their families. There's some pillow talk going on. You know what I mean? If I was keeping a secret like that, I'd be like, Mark, guess what?
Right. Also, the family would know because they didn't leave.
Right.
True.
Well, they might have just gone and held them somewhere.
Yeah.
Or they went to the stage. They went
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
There was just like a
Senate.
NASA retreat somewhere. They all just kind of went to Six Flags. And they just kind of like...
Yeah.
And there's like a million photos of them at Six Flags, and no one's like, oh, yeah.
I feel like getting paid off wouldn't be enough, but telling somebody like we're going to kill you if you tell anybody, that might be enough.
So
Yeah.
they do think
Yeah,
that.
Oh my God, like on the side of the conspiracy theorists now.
So there was a
Reasonable.
fire that was during a rehearsal capsule during preparations for Apollo 1 that killed 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Edward White II, and Roger Chaffee.
Wow.
And they think that these guys knew information, and that's why they killed these astronauts, which is already,
Okay.
we're getting into pretty, come on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is Apollo 1... What's the name of the one that worked? Apollo 11?
11.
So there were 10 other explosions?
No.
Yeah, what happened to the other ones?
I think that those would all be during the 60s, but without the intention of actually going up
Oh,
into
like was like the three
moon.
trips like Apollo 7 or something? Are these hard-hitting questions? I apologize.
No, they're not hard-hitting questions, but there must be. They couldn't have just skipped to 11.
It sounds nice, I will say.
I'll look up a random one. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
Apollo 8.
Apollo. Oh, wait, that's a famous one. Why is that famous? Apollo 8 was the first crewed spacecraft to leave low Earth orbit. I guess it's not that famous. Maybe it is famous.
that's the
So that was
one.
in 1968. So yeah, there were all these Apollos, but Apollo 11 is the one that lands on the moon. Apollo 8, it says, was an important prelude to actually landing on the moon.
Okay.
A little prelude.
Well, prelude.
Yeah. So
What are some of the theories? Why is it fake?
the last thing that I want to say, just to cover in terms of why they would do this, is to distract people from the Vietnam War.
Ooh.
So a lot of bad stuff is going on in Vietnam. People are very upset about what's going on in Vietnam. And hey, let's give them a show
Yeah,
where
but-
we can all be proud of America.
Isn't that
Yeah.
more of a reason? They couldn't have had extra resources lying around during a war,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Aren't you usually strapped whilst at war? A war, by the way, we weren't exactly winning.
What What was that war? I know nothing about it.
Let's go into the
Let's
Vietnam
pivot.
Pivot.
We're going to Nam.
So here's why people think it's fake. And obviously, everyone has seen videos or photos of the actual moon landing.
Right.
And there are certain things in, especially the videos, where people are like, whoa, that doesn't make sense. This is not going on. Also, what I want to say is that...
Are those... it's never scientists that say that,
this
right?
is very similar to the Bob Lazar episode.
Yeah.
In that we're going to throw around very scientific terms, and the people that are studying this are probably not exactly scientific experts. Bob Lazar is a scientific expert.
Yeah. Well, he worked on Hondas. What I will say is that what's funny about conspiracy theorists to me is that their biggest reason is they're like, what, do you believe everything they tell you? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Meanwhile, they believed everything a YouTube video told them.
Right, literally.
Yeah, they
Right?
believe something.
Yeah.
Their Aunt Carol told them.
The only thing is because their first touch point is like, here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's the truth, and don't believe anybody else. And they believe that person, and it's like, you guys are sheep.
That's 100% true. Also, related to that, just to give a little context here, the conspiracy theory, so moon landing happens in 1969, and then it goes through 1972. The main conspiracies don't really show up until the mid-70s, and that makes sense because of Watergate. And Watergate is basically this kind of beginning of, we don't trust the government. The government can lie to us about absolutely anything.
Yeah, that
Right.
wasn't a good look for everybody. Nixon really screwed the pooch.
And Nixon was the president during the moon landing. It was the beginning of his presidency.
Now, did they tie the moon landing at all to the assassination of Kennedy? Did they ever try to do that?
You're thinking like a conspiracy theorist.
Let me
I
tell
like
you something. My wheels are turning.
That's pretty good. Not in my research did they
Okay.
connect those two things.
Because I don't know why that would. Maybe like he knew it wasn't going to happen or something, and Nixon.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Also, the Nixon thing, Nixon wanting the moon landing makes sense in this in that space race, and he would be the president when it happens. But the moon landing also makes Kennedy look good. I mean, he's already been dead for 6 years at that point, but because Kennedy was the one who got us
Did all the groundwork.
starting or whatever,
Yeah.
and Nixon hated Kennedy, so
Right.
I don't know if he would want Kennedy to look good. I don't know. He didn't. The moon landing's real. Can we
All right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
But
Whatever you say.
Sure,
sheep.
bud.
yeah. So here would be the things that conspiracy theorists say or bring up in order to quote unquote disprove the moon landing. Number one, the flag looks like it's flapping in the wind. And it's like, hey, there's
does.
It does.
It does, yes, and there's an explanation for it.
Give it
but so they say, of course, there's no wind on the moon. How could the flag be flapping? How can the flag be flapping?
You know, flags be flapping.
The answer is that it's not a normal flag. That NASA actually designed a special flag so that it looked like it would flap in the wind because it looks better. It's a better image.
Yeah, than just like a flat.
That tracks. I mean, you went all the way there. You spent $30 billion to get there.
Yeah.
You're going to get the photo up.
Yeah,
that's
you're
Michael
gonna spend
Collins guy, isn't it?
$28 billion on the flag.
I wonder how big that flag is because it looks small.
Had to be huge, no?
Well, you can compare it to the size of the astronauts. I guess it's not that huge, is
It's
it?
really not that huge.
Well, Buzz Aldrin's 11 feet tall.
So it was a horizontal rod to make it stick. Anyway, there's some explanation. I shouldn't say there's some explanation.
Wait, this might be stupid, but is it still there?
Oh yeah, the American flag's still on the moon.
Oh,
It's
okay.
still stuck.
Yeah, it's it's ours.
They really got it in
Okay.
there,
Yeah,
huh? We own the moon.
we do own the moon.
Factually.
Okay, reason number 2 that people would say is suspicious. You can't see the stars in the photo.
And? What's
So
the reason?
debunking of this would be that daylight exposures, that the surface is illuminated and bright white suits are reflective. Basically, there are all these reflections going on that would block out the image of the star.
I'm just
and
looking
then
up
also,
the moon landing photo so Mae and I can look at that.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because I didn't look at that before this.
The exposure on the camera was too short to capture the spacesuit,
That's
and
fake.
moon surface while also capturing the stars. And the article that I read said that it's the same phenomenon when you're like when it says onto someone's back porch at night and turn on the lights, even though you see the stars from where you're standing, a quick exposure camera won't be able to capture them.
Oh, okay.
What iPhone was in 1969? Was it none of the? There was another.
Well, they matched up the iPhone to whatever Apollo mission it was.
Okay.
So
they were at 11.
yeah, they were up to 11.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. XI. Okay. Next thing.
Yes.
I guess we're going through these a little bit quickly, but anyway, the shadows aren't right.
Okay, but would the shadows be the same on the Earth
Who
as they
is-
would on the moon?
That's
Like,
what I'm
what's
saying.
their
Who is it?
reference?
Who is saying this? Moonologists?
So there are a few people who try to say that the moon landing isn't real, but it really all starts in 1976. There's a guy named Bill Kaysing who self-publishes, not surprising,
Right.
a pamphlet called "We Never Went to the Moon: America's $30 billion swindle."
Okay.
And this would be the beginning of, well, now, we said tons of people believe in the conspiracy theory, but this would kind of usher in this whole we didn't go to the moon thing.
$30 billion window has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I'd buy that pamphlet.
Yeah, that's a good pamphlet. I'd be like, okay.
Did you read it before this episode? What's it say?
Yeah.
So I'll just briefly read what his theory is.
Did you miss one of the theories here? Armstrong's camera?
Oh, yes. I was going to... Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to that, and then I'll say what Bill Kaysing said happened instead.
Okay.
And, of course, people, they're fine thinking of reasons why the film or the picture looks weird, but then when you ask them what they did instead, they're like, what?
Yes.
I didn't anticipate this question. So the shadows aren't right. The reason why the shadows wouldn't be right in reality is that the problem is the sun is the main source of illumination on the moon. It isn't the only source of illumination. Another source is the lunar ground, which reflects the sun's light. So
Okay.
shadows.
All right.
Listen, we're taking it all, everything you say, for fact.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with
I was a
most...
communication major. What was your...
PR and communication.
majored in conspiracy theories. Okay, reason number 4 why they're skeptical. You cannot see Neil Armstrong's camera. So obviously Neil Armstrong was taking photos. That's how the photos, or one of the, I think they all maybe had cameras. Mm-hmm. Definitely Michael Collins. What the hell else is he doing?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So
One hand on the
guy.
camera, one hand on the dick. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Armstrong, but Armstrong had a camera, and in one picture you see Armstrong's reflection in Aldrin's visor, and it looks like Armstrong isn't holding a camera. And
All right.
Explanation here: Armstrong's camera was mounted on the front of his suit, and his hands are just happen to be covering it in the photo.
Right.
In this one photo.
It's tough to believe any of this technology did exist back then. But remember in the fucking Black Dahlia case where they had like sound bullshit where they were sending stuff? So that verified some of this to me. You know what I mean? Where they were just sending photos across the country via sound. Right? For
Wait, so you're saying
newspaper
that
stuff? I don't know. Just kind of like the fact that they had tech.
Is surprising, you're saying?
It was surprising, but it was a good surprise, and it backs up the fact that they could have made this stuff happen. You know what I mean? Because you think of it, they didn't have anything back then. They had some stuff.
They had some. I mean, they're landing on the moon. So here's my issue with this whole thing, and the reason why. I mean, in conspiracy theories in general, I think can be dangerous, yada yada. But it's also like, imagine if you're Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. You just risked your fucking life.
Yeah.
You have a family and kids. You come back. You're a hero, and then 5 years later, people are like, "Nah, you didn't do that."
And you're like, what?
I don't think you did. Here's my thing though, which gives a little credence to it, and it kind of poo-poos on us as well. We made it to the fucking moon. People walked over there. We haven't done anything we haven't really leveled up since then. In terms of people doing stuff in space. You know, we've sent rovers out.
Well,
cool stuff
Elon
on
Musk
Mars.
is doing SpaceX.
Oh,
Yeah, he's going to take Leo.
Yeah.
You know, leave the rest
I
of
was
us here
in
to
a conversation
die.
with
You know what I
someone
mean?
about this recently.
You'd think we would have a station on the moon by now with people
Right.
working over there and stuff.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I was talking about this actually with someone recently. It's like there are no there's no one who is the equivalent of an astronaut in the sense that they are risking their life for the new frontier.
Yeah.
Like when I think of the people landing on Mars, I think of Musk, who is sitting at home. And I also think of, it's a rover. So it's
Right.
not no one risking their life. It's these, brilliant scientists and stuff like that. And they deserve a lot of credit. But the astronauts are, this is fucking risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would expect not to come back from this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is like you would think that there would be more people doing stuff in space by now, especially if they were able to do this in 1969. But I guess the motivations aren't there. We need another Vietnam. You know, what I mean, we need another good Cold War, I guess, to motivate us.
In order to fake things.
Yeah, in order to fake.
We should just tell them that there's oil on the moon. They'll be there in 2 fucking seconds, fighting the aliens.
Yeah.
So Bill casing. So now, okay, so those were the 4 kind of main things. That was flag looks like it's flapping in the wind, can't see the stars, shadows aren't right, and you can't see Armstrong's camera. I'm kind of selecting the big 4. There are many, many others.
Right.
Those are just kind of the 4 that were highlighted in a few of the articles that I read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the question then becomes, all right, you say that the moon landing is fake, then what happened instead?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's not much. So Bill Casing was the person who wrote that, pamphlet. So he believed the astronauts had
Couldn't
been
swing for a book, by the way. What's it like? He just
wasn't that much to talk about.
Okay, good point. He writes a children's book on his conspiracy
The
theory.
moon landing didn't happen, and it all rhymes.
or it's just an excuse to get people to like read his novel. Like it starts off with the pamphlet, and then it's just a stupid.
Find out more in the adventures of James T. Johnson.
My screenplay.
So Casing says he believes that the astronauts had been removed from the ship moments before takeoff, flown to Nevada.
Wow.
Where a few days later they broadcast the moonwalk from the moonwalk. I like that. Where they broadcast the moonwalk from the desert. People claim to have seen Armstrong walking through a hotel lobby, a showgirl in each arm. Aldrin was playing the slots. Not sure if that second part was actually just the writer of the article making a joke that's confusing, but the Nevada part is true.
Oh, okay.
And, they were then flown to Hawaii and put back inside the capsule after the splash before the cameras arrived.
So they're fine with admitting that Michael Collins was in that spaceship by himself. He was, just to be clear, he was in the spaceship.
Collins was in the spaceship. No one actually landed on the moon. But everyone else
stuck
was in
there.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
He just kind of like went for a ride, I guess, by himself.
And then, of course, moving past Casing for a second, there is the most fun theory of what happened instead, and that is that famed film director of Dr. Strangelove, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, and, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, filmed the moon landing.
Pretty cool.
Well, they're going to call in the best.
I mean, yeah, you got to get a director.
The theory basically here is that in 1968, Stanley Kubrick directed 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is a sci-fi movie that has unbelievable visuals and looks incredible, looks like it's space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we landed on the moon a year later. People basically said, wow, that movie was so good, he must have directed the movie.
Wow.
That's basically what happened.
Well, listen, I watched Gravity and I was like, you know what I mean? Can we believe anything we see? Because you see Clooney just kind of floating over there, and you're like, well, this is real. I'm like, how do they get Sandy in space? You know what I mean? So I believe what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Can't believe these actors went to space just to film.
I get
Really
that is
brave.
commitment to the craft. You
Also,
know?
they mentioned that in
Method.
1971, there is a Bond film starring Sean Connery called Diamonds Are Forever, which is kind of one of the weaker Connery. That's like already when he's wearing the toupee and the whole thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's a scene of him landing on the moon. So people are like, movies can do it.
No.
That is true.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Which is the Bond movie where I think it's Roger Moore. He like fights Jaws in space.
That would be Roger Moore.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Moonraker?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They got space fights going on in that.
They
one.
got any movie with space fights.
And yeah, I'm in.
It's high tension.
They should make a movie about like Star Wars or something. That would be.
That's good.
That sounds good.
That's good.
I think it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I want to see more like adventures, like almost like a space trek.
Not
Across the
space-
stars?
Yeah.
Like
So
a
what-
trek across the stars.
A Star Trek.
A Star Trek
Yeah.
would be great.
The ideas we have on this show. I mean,
Also, they should redo Hamlet with Elton John music and animated lines.
Wow. But the teen lead lion is like hot.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So really the casing theory with the Nevada thing and the Kubrick filmed it are the two most sort of specific examples I can think of for alternatives. But essentially the explanation is that it was a TV set. It was a movie set.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Green screened or whatever.
Well, what's sucks about that is that movies weren't that advanced back then, and neither were actual cameras. So as convincing as the moon landing it happened, but like there's no HD. So
No.
it's always going to look a little grainy. It's going to look a little weird. The exposure's fucked up.
And that's why people were freaking out with when 2001: A Space Odyssey came out in the late 60s. If you see the movie, it is amazing.
Did some of them think it was a documentary, or?
I mean, basically, that's what. I mean, they don't think it's a documentary, but they do think that they're now. It was so groundbreaking in terms of like the visuals and like the sci-fi filmmaking.
Yeah.
That people are like, okay, this moon landing could have easily been directed by this guy.
You're also dealing with something that is quite literally out of this world that no one actually knows what it's supposed to look like or be like. So it's kind of when you can't wrap your mind around something, it's easier to just be like, well, that didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. I will say that I mentioned that this was a relatively harmless conspiracy, and people might disagree with me on that. But one way that it definitely wasn't is that there was a conspiracy theorist who went up to Buzz Aldrin in 2002 and was holding a Bible and was like, swear on this Bible. And just like kept on going. It's on YouTube, by the way. You can see it.
Holy
it's like,
shit.
Swear on this
We'll
Bible
post
that
that.
the moon landing happened. Swear on this Bible that the moon landing happened. And after persistently doing it for like a minute, Aldrin punched him in the face.
Whoa.
And he's already old at that point.
Did he clock him though? Did he go down?
It is a hit.
Damn.
We're posting that on Instagram.
Oh, we are
Yeah.
posting it on
How old was the guy that he hit?
Instagram. Middle-aged.
Okay.
Yeah, it coming.
Did he hit him back? Was it a fight?
I don't think he hit him back.
Buzz
Okay.
just dropped him like a couple of moon rocks.
Yeah. I didn't watch the end of the video. I just
The guy's
watched
dead.
the punch. I came and I turned it off.
I came and I turned it off.
A lot of cum in this moon landing episode.
Didn't see that coming.
So I just want to reiterate a few more pieces of evidence about why this theory is...
Yes, and how much did they pay you?
Yeah.
They got a lot still left in that 30 bill. Inflation. 382 kilograms of moon rock collected across 6 missions. Corroboration from Russia, Japan, and China. Images from the NASA Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter showing the tracks made by the astronauts in the moon dust. I don't really know what I'm reading, but the point is that...
I don't even know how much that weight is. Unless we
382 kilograms. We got a converter over here.
moon
Yeah,
rock. How about on
300.
cocaine?
Kilograms to cocaine. Kilograms to pounds. 382. It's 842 pounds of moon rocks. That's one
All right.
TLC show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's a
one,
half of the TLC show.
Yeah, that's one large woman on
1,000-pound
TLC.
sisters. Yeah.
Oh, TLC. I thought you meant the band that sings No Scrubs. I was like, what is going on here?
No,
Like 3 of those women combined are not 800 pounds.
What?
No, they were all in great shape. They weren't dating any scrubs.
No, they didn't want No Scrubs. That was the whole point of the
Yeah,
song.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, in summation, the moon landing conspiracy is built largely on the fact that people just in general, starting in the 70s, really didn't trust the government. That,
Yeah.
of course, persists till this day.
Right.
Yeah, big
And
time.
That would be, and also you combine that with the fact that the space race was going on, so there's a motive, and then combine that with the fact that it's crazy that we landed. Like, that's a crazy
That's
thing that
cool.
people can land on the
Well,
moon.
did they even have a Steve Colbert back then to cry on air when it happened?
The answer is yes. Walter Cronkite is a famous. You can send the link of that too, where he's like, "It's amazing." And he's like wiping off tears.
Where'd it go?
He's like, we did it, babe.
So we haven't. When was the last time we've been to the moon?
72.
That's
so we
really?
went like a bunch in a 3-year period, and
Yeah.
then no one's been back since.
Why
And only-
not?
By the way, only America has been to the moon. Only American people have been on the moon. Other people have sent rovers and stuff like
I
that.
see.
But only.
Once one person did it, nobody fucking cares anymore? Or is there nothing to do on the moon? Nobody wants to hang out there?
Doesn't look like a fun place. Like
It is
there's
a
no
bit-
nice restaurants or like architecture or anything. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
put a Ruby Tuesdays up there.
Yeah.
Suddenly people are coming. Oh, also to the person that commented on our YouTube video, too much unnecessary laughing, eat my ass.
It also is the reason why we did a tame subject this week, so that you'll stop.
No,
being
he
mean.
didn't say unnecessary. He said inappropriate.
Oh, inappropriate laughing. Yes, it was necessary, but it wasn't appropriate.
It was super inappropriate.
Whatever. Okay.
And I'm not apologizing for it.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Murray.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much we're gonna have a shorter episode now because our last episode was the length of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
We just stopped recording it a week later just now.
We're live streaming it right until this time. Oh, so were we had or what? Did it happen?
I'm sorry. I wrapped it up before that. I have. Why don't you guys start? Because I've clearly expressed my skepticism.
Well, I think that it's a little odd that we're the only country to ever have people there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that's a little odd. I think the timing is odd. I can understand how conspiracy theories would thread a little story for themselves, but I don't think that it is a real conspiracy simply because there's too many people involved. Because out of the 400,000 people that could know about this, you'd think one of them would croak, and on their deathbed, they'd be like, oh, by the way, we didn't land on the moon.
Yeah,
Dead.
yeah.
You know?
It's a conspiracy straight up too big to fail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's too much it's a glass house. You know what I
Right.
mean? Too many people are involved, too many people are seeing it. But that being said, it's fucking lame that nobody's ever gone back. No other country put a
Yeah.
person over there. At this point, you're talking about, what, 40, 50 years later. Why aren't we fucking breakdancing on the
hanging
moon?
out.
Why
Yeah.
aren't we? Why don't we have installations in Venus? Why don't we have space stations? That kind of stuff. We should be doing
Yeah.
cool space stuff.
We should be doing cool space stuff.
Yeah. With
And
3
people
years.
also just like moved on to Mars. Like we didn't.
Yeah, but
we
we're not
didn't
even doing anything
We didn't
really on
like
Mars.
really do the moon before you're moving
Yeah.
on to Mars.
Yeah.
Which is way further away.
Yeah.
We could have ruined the climate of the universe, not
Yeah.
just our own planet.
One
Yeah.
day.
One day.
One day. We should be disrupting and toppling governments on other planets,
Yeah.
not just other countries, you know?
I think
Colonizing them.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of did colonize the moon. The first thing we did was plant a flag. It's amazing.
That's
Oh,
horrible.
good.
Well-
good.
Well, I think we landed on the moon. I am proud of it. I don't know.
Listen, justice for Michael Collins. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Bye.